Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Pastor Alfred Johnson with the Faith Action Ministry Alliance, coming back to you after quite a bit of time. And I look forward to being able to speak with you on future occasions about a very, very, very important series of topics. And so please continue to follow with us as we blaze the trail for generations that will follow. So today I want to speak about to you about the practicality of Christianity. The practicality of Christianity. In modern day church, I think that we have an overemphasis on theology as well as speculation. I think it's because our greatest expression of Christianity we believe to be church, and the highest position in a church, of course, would be either the reverend or the pastor. And so there's a great amount of focus that's placed on the local assembly. Well, what this does is it raises up leaders that are very proficient at speaking and demonstrating like a theological wit. We have to, of course, we have to do it because each Sunday, of course, we're Americans. We like things big and new. And so it inspires leaders to, want to come up with some new teaching, some new revelation or some new insight because, we as American Christians demand it. And but that just leads to more and more fruitless speculation, things that actually keep the body of Christ from maturing and from developing the ideas that make us relevant to society. And it is very important that we are developing ideas that are absolutely relevant. This is our bridge into the conscience and heart of our civilization. As soon as we get caught up in church life and church lingo, and we're full of theological speculations that lack all practical application, to the degree that we do that, we are marginalizing ourselves from a world that desperately needs a church that can rationally explain our position on a multiplicity of topics. I remember Daniel, the prophet Daniel, when he was before Nebuchadnezzar, basically the king surrounded himself with a variety of spiritual resources. They actually called Daniel chief of the magicians, because he was surrounded with people that seemed to have extraordinary spiritual ability. And Daniel was one of them. They were called the king's wise men. They were his counselors. And but after a series of events, it became very clear that, and some demands being placed on the counselors from the king, Daniel proved his wisdom to be 10 times better than the others. Now, let me tell you how the king judged that Daniel's teaching was better. It wasn't because the king got goosebumps. He didn't just preach the king happy. Okay, that's not how administrators and overseers view the worth of counsel and activity. They view the worth of counsel by how it plays out in the real world. That is, what are the outcomes of what you are saying? What are the practical benefits of what you're saying? Well, he found Daniel's practical benefits. That is, what Daniel was revealing from God was very, very highly practical, highly fruitful. And so his teaching could be measured. It had like a scientific element to it. It could be tested. And it was proven to be way better than the other counselors, of course, because he was coming from the premise that God's word is true, that God meant what he said through the prophet Moses, and that it was validated through the life of Moses. Moses parting Red Seas and doing great things in the name of the Lord, God validating, vindicating the life of Moses. And it was repeated for all of those who put their trust in God, Daniel being among them. In the modern day church setting, we need to be doing the same. We need to be emphasizing those elements of Christianity that are so vitally practical to civilization that it sets us apart from them. Now, we already know that since God made everything, all things are going to reflect His law, His order, one way or another. It doesn't even matter. But people might not believe that. Well, that's irrelevant whether or not they believe it, because truth or falsehood, it can be tested. Let's imagine that I were to present you with a cup of wine, okay, and the wine was actually good wine, right? And you went ahead and you were able to taste it to determine whether or not let's say it's poisonous or not. So there were two glasses. One was good and one was poisonous, both filled with wine. I mean, one had arsenic in it. And they were both wines. Well, it doesn't matter which one of those two wines you drink from. You're going to demonstrate which one was good and which one was bad. And that's how truth always works. In practice, it will shine forth. And that's what would separate Christianity from every other system of ideas on the planet. It is the practical element involved in Christianity, and it's throughout. It's throughout. Is there such thing as Christian math? Well, of course there is. Of course there is. Absolute objectivity pushed to its end. Absolute objectivity pushed to as a greater degree as we possibly can. 2 + 2 = 4. It only equals 4. It doesn't equal 4.1. Doesn't equal 4.00001.3. No, 2 + 2 = 4. It's an absolute objective truth, and that right there, when it's pushed logically, and when it's pushed judicially, that is when we're judging with that same formula. That is, if your business this year grew by $2,000, then, and the numbers backed it up, well, then your business grew by $2,000. If, however, you were to exaggerate the value of your business, and you said that your business profited $3,000 this year because you wanted people to see that your business was growing extraordinarily. Well, if that's dishonest math. That is unchristian math. That is called deception. And we know that over a long period of time, that kind of application of the numbers will cause the disaster of a business, not to mention it's absolutely illegal and it's absolutely unethical. But those kind of business practices reveal that there is a true math and there is a false math. The honesty of the businessman, the honesty is the best policy. It will ring true over a long period of time. It becomes very clear that Christianity put in practice is the best policy. And by the way, Christianity applied to capitalism it demonstrates itself absolutely true. Capitalism itself shows itself to be probably one of the most Christian economic expressions on the planet, simply because in order to prosper in capitalism, you have to present, your better goods. You have to present better services. You actually have to compete in being kind. You have to compete in giving people what they want or what they need. And if you don't, well, then there are ramifications for that, right? You'll end up going out of business, but you're having to compete for these things, actually competing to serve. And of course, that's one of the great reasons why capitalism or the free markets dominates the world's economy. It's straightforward. When Christianity is applied to business, when individuals are allowed to be free, when they are free to receive the rewards for their labors, when they're competing on how best we can serve our fellow man with products or services, that attitude of creating superior products and superior service, that is a Christian attitude, to give the best to your fellow man. We are ordered to do that. That is a divine mandate to be that way. And so again, economically, when Christianity is lived out, it serves for the betterment of society. It absolutely is the case. But it's not just even in that realm. In the realm of family, we're debating in our time about what a proper family is to look like. But the statistics, it seems as if nature is very much on the side of Christianity. The family, a husband, a wife, and with their children, we know to be the safest context for the development of children. It is the safest context. All the statistics bear it out. And when that biological father isn't there, there are deleterious ramifications, that is, bad results, and it's almost across the board for our babies. What God means when he says he made Adam and brought Eve and made them one and said the two shall become one flesh, he set an ideal, a model for how they were to be cooperating. And of course, he set that model because it was going to be the best for the human race. And when that is properly lived out, it provides the safest nest, home for our babies. And again, science is bearing that out. So when Christianity is properly expressed, we're able to demonstrate to those who don't know what we stand for, we're able to demonstrate its superiority. It's superior in terms of friendship. It's superior in terms of dealing with external hostilities. It's superior in terms of science because of the absolute objectivity. But this is Christianity. When it's actually lived, when it's put into practice, it's the best there is. It is the best there is. You know, so here at FAMA, the Faith Action Ministry Alliance, all we do is put into practice biblical concepts. We do it for the for-profit businesses that are members of our team. As we mentor, as we coach, as we situate the businesses to position themselves for the best referrals and things of that sort. We are pushing forward the ideas of Christianity for the best Christian business model that we can put forward. We're so very glad to be in the position to do that. And then these businesses, they work together to be able to do special things for the community, to be able to mentor our young in areas of entrepreneurship, in areas of the best business practices. They mentor at our school, or they'll mentor at our neighborhood alliance. But these businesses make themselves available to teach others, what is communicated to them, and it's an awesome way for Christianity to manifest itself as flat out awesome. That same concept is used for our not-for-profit networks. At the network, we look for ways to serve the not-for-profits. Matter of fact, we have a meeting coming up this very Monday coming up at the Children's Board, where the not-for-profits will be spoken to, the cooperation, the service, the sensitivity to the interests of the not-for-profits, serving their interests. See, because all this is Christian. This is how relationships are developed. Serving one another, taking the other person's interests ahead of our own. See, that's Christianity. And you're able to build coalitions that way. How many people can you serve? How many people can you relate with in a way that is relevant to them, not relevant to you? You build the relationship with their interest in mind, where their interest is priority. That's how friendships are developed, and that's how businesses are grown. And so that's what happens in the not-for-profits. We want to develop those kinds of relationships that make for endearing and enduring co-workmanship in our communities. Also, by our partnerships, we're able to serve each other in trying to generate revenues that not-for-profits need very badly. But again, we do that through cooperation. That is, people operating together. It takes a mutual serving mentality, which is, again, purely Christian. Our ability to humble ourselves to each other so that we can cooperate, so that we can network. Our ability to see the best in people and not to feel as if they're trying to, edge us out or take advantage of us. Those things have to be mastered in order for us to have the greatest appeal with each other and the greatest impact together to do what needs to be done. And so the not-for-profit network, we're able to make certain that we pull resources, we coalesce our talents and abilities to serve each other. This is Christianity in practice. This is it, everyone. As a matter of fact, I argue that there is no best business practice that is not steeped in Christianity. If it runs counter to Christianity, I assure you, you want to run from it with everything that you have. Okay, best practices for any business is always going to be Christian practices. It's just the way it is. It is just the way it is. All right. So the not-for-profits, we're able to pull together with them, see them networking together. We're able to make proper referrals. We're able to coalesce our abilities for fundraisers and support. We're able to bring in mentors to help the younger not-for-profits know how to get on their feet and things of this sort. We're able to coordinate volunteers for each of the groups that do massive things. We're able to create platforms within the community, with churches. We're able to get them to present themselves to the business aspect of the alliance. And so it's a one big, great circle of service. And I think it is the greatest model there is. And of course it is, because it's revealed in the scriptures. We call it the garden model. And so, but anyhow, Christianity manifested in that department is wonderful. Also for the pastors, we have the Pastors Roundtable, don't you know? Pastors Roundtable is wonderful. This is pastors coming together and systematically working with each other to learn how to appropriate Christianity in a neighborhood context. This stuff is so easy. Love on folks. Do it regularly, do it in a coordinated fashion, and then watch the results. Just a beautiful thing. Of course, the big thing in the beginning is for the pastors to learn how to serve and to trust each other. All of this is pure Christianity. The other thing, the fourth branch of FAMA, is the Neighborhood Alliance. In the Neighborhood Alliance, we use the same principles of Christianity. How can we best serve the community? How do we endear ourselves to the community through our service? And then as that platform of service is strong enough, it gives people reason to cross back over to us, right? We love on people, and it just might happen that they may return that love. But that's the way nature works. You plant first, and then you expect a harvest. It would be ridiculous to expect a tree to grow, then we plant a seed. No, you always sacrifice and serve first. You always give first. You water first. And this is all Christianity put in practice. This is the life of Christ manifested in a very clear way socially. And it's the best there is. It is the best there is, and it's the most pleasurable that there is. Hey, how about in terms of military, in terms of defending our loved ones, defending our cities, defending our states, defending our nation? How about defending the world? What do we expect from our soldiers? You know, listen, if pleasure in this life is the ultimate goal of living, and and if there is no God and there is no heaven, wow. If there is no good and there is no bad and there is no standard and there is no morals, and what are we defending and what are we fighting for? What are we fighting for? Even the reasons for fighting are typically Christian reasons. They're reasons that deal with the service for my family, the service for my children. I will sacrifice myself for them. It sounds a whole lot like the Christian message, doesn't it? Where God so loved the world that he gave his only son, his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him, that is, learns to trust him, learns to know him, would not perish, but have everlasting life. Life comes from that kind of commitment and sacrifice. Greater love has no man than this, and that he lays down his life for his friends. And we are the friends of Christ if we show ourselves willing to cooperate with him at every turn. Again, everyone, that is just a little bit of encouragement for you to have confidence in the Christian faith. Have confidence in the faith. There's great reason to have confidence in the faith. When it's put into practice, it brings about the consequences that are best for us individually, for our families, and for our society. God bless you all. Love you, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Perfect.
Okay.